So what we'd like to start out with is just having each of the panelists introduce themselves just briefly, and mostly introducing your institution and your program, and maybe just one or two unique features of your program. So if we could start with Vanessa from York.
Great, good afternoon. Well, here I am. I'm with York University. Our office is located in Winters College, which is just around the corner. We're in room 128. I'm the manager of student services for the undergraduate faculty of education program. We have 4 advisors that are here to support our students throughout their program. And we also have our frontline team to support you with any questions or inquiries that you have during the application process, or in the future if you're thinking about applying to the Bachelor of Education program. I think I'll offer, many of us are going on to a new program now, so you probably have heard we're all going towards a 2-year Bachelor of Education program, or some of them are bringing into a master's program. But with that change, we are looking to have sort of a stronger partnership with the boards of education. So when students are applying to the 2-year consecutive BED program, while they're filling out their information pieces, a supplementary form, they'll be able to identify which board they want to be connected with in their practicum placement over those 2 years. With that, we also have all teaching levels from kindergarten right up into intermediate senior. And then as the presentation continues on, I'll tell you more about the courses that are now part of the new 2-year BED program. Thank you.
And Jessica Lee of Trent.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica and I'm an enrollment advisor at Trent University. So essentially helping you figure out your program for university and guiding you through the process. So at Trent University, we are located in Peterborough, which is just approximately an hour and a half east from here. It's accessible by Greyhound, or if you want to catch the GO Transit, it'll bring you all the way to campus as well. In terms of our learning environment, Trent is located on a gorgeous, gorgeous campus with outstanding nature around, right in the heart of the Kawartha Lakes. And in terms of class sizes, we are a smaller size university, and your class sizes for your Bachelor of Education program will have no more than 30 students in a class. We also offer an excellent program in terms of offering lots of hands-on opportunities. In terms of placements, we have 92 days of practicum where you're going to be out in the classrooms teaching. We also have other tutoring experiences as part of your placements, and also alternate placements that you can do anywhere in Canada or anywhere around the world as well. So if you're interested in teaching abroad, you could spend 3 weeks abroad gaining your experience. We also offer $1,000 of award for students who are teaching at the intermediate senior level, who are interested in going into that field and are planning on teaching high demand subjects such as chemistry or French or math, and we can chat more about that. So that's just a brief description about Trent and our program. Thank you.
And Cindy Barnes of Western.
So I'm the program advisor at the Western's Faculty of Education. We're in London, about 2.5 hours west of here. Beautiful campus. We are in a separate building, so all your classes are in the one building. We offer the 3 programs: primary junior, junior intermediate, and intermediate senior. Going into the 2-year program, we'll have about 335 students, which is about half of our existing enrollment as of today. There'll be about 100 days of field experience and practicum, so you'll do some community field experience, alternative placements, and practice teaching in a school. There's also professional development days, employment strategies, career expos, and we're introducing cohorts this year, so you'll be into a special interest cohort group that you'll select as part of your experience profile, and that can also potentially lead to advanced standing in a master's in professional education program.
Okay. Allison Mackey of Queens and Kingston.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison. I work in the Student Services Office at Queen's, and I'm Programs Coordinator there. So as part of my job, I do recruiting, and I also do admissions and file assessment as well. And so some unique features about our program for 2015, like other faculties, we're going to a 4-term format, but we're doing ours a little bit more condensed. So we're starting the program in May, and we're going through 16 months straight, finishing in August. So it's going to be a summer, fall, winter, summer format. So it's a little bit different. Also unique to us is we offer concentrations in the program. So those are specific areas that you're taking in a specific topic, such as teaching in business and industry, students with exceptionalities. There's a variety of different ones that you can select, and then you do an alternative practicum related to that concentration that you're taking. So it just gives you some more in-depth knowledge in specific areas, and you get to explore careers relating to teaching that go along with that.
Great. Okay, and Joanne Chartrand of the University of Ottawa.
Thanks. So I'm the academic administrator at the Faculty of Education at the University of Ottawa. Admissions is done centrally at the university, so it's not done in the faculty itself, but we definitely guide our admissions office through the whole process. Teacher training has been around for a long time at the University of Ottawa, since 1875 for the teacher ed program and 1925 for the French Formation et l'Enseignement program. So we offer a program entirely in English and entirely in French, so you have a choice of doing the program in one or the other language. For the French program, we have a campus in Toronto as well at Glendon College, which is part of York, but our campus is there. And in Windsor at l'École L'Envolée. It's a primary school in Windsor. So students who want to apply to our teacher ed program can apply from primary junior up to intermediate senior. They need teaching options in the junior, intermediate, and intermediate senior divisions, as for all other schools. Our program will be offered over 4 sessions, but it will be fall, winter, so over 2 years. Within each program, once you are admitted to the faculty, you will have a choice of doing cohorts, as for Queen's, but the different cohorts are comprehensive health, global ed, creativity and innovation, and French. Urban ed at the high school level. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you everyone. So in terms of, we'll start to the general questions and answers now. And I'm going to be asking a few questions, by the way, and then that probably everybody will want to know. And then I'll open it up to the floor in a few minutes. So we'll start with what are some of the specific admission requirements for your program and for the teaching levels that you offer? So we'll start with Vanessa from you.
Okay. So when we're looking at candidates for the consecutive Bachelor of Education program, we're looking at your last 2 years of university based on, let's say, from August back. So it's difficult for us to wait for your grades for the fall semester. You may be currently enrolled right now at the university, so we can't wait for those final grades. But what we'll do is we'll use those courses towards teachables and so on. So we look at your last 60 credits, last 2 years based on August going back. We're looking at an overall B average. So on a York grading scale, you are looking at about a 6.0 out of a 9 for consideration. Then when we look at your teachable, so as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 teaching level certificates. We have the primary junior, we have junior intermediate, and we have intermediate senior. For junior intermediate senior, we now need to look at what's called a teachable. So the area that you're going to be specializing. So if it's history or English or science or phys ed. So now we go back to a transcript and we now look for specific courses to pull another GPA out, which was also a B. Okay, for your teachables. And for intermediate senior, we're looking for 2 teachables, and those 2 teachables also have to be a B for consideration. Primary junior does not require a teachable. We do encourage, if you're looking to become a primary junior teacher, that in your university you've had some experience, maybe a math course, an English course, maybe a science course. The natural science course here at York will fit that just fine. It's not a requirement, but it is a recommendation, just because when you're teaching the little ones, you're going to be in and out of a lot of little courses to support them through their learning skills. So the courses we use, as I mentioned, for your grades is based on ones that you've already completed from the summertime past, but we do use courses that you're currently enrolled in, so throughout the fall, and we'll also see what you're enrolled in for the winter session, because it will apply most likely towards your teachable. So junior, intermediate, senior. We look for so many credits for junior, intermediate, and intermediate senior for admissions, and it's in our booklet. If you didn't get the chance to get one, I can pass one on to you after this session. And then of course there's a supplementary form. So grades are important, but so is the supplementary form. And that supplementary form is a online through My File. You'll see it once a student applies, and it's asking questions about your goals about being a teacher, talk a bit about your experience, maybe volunteering with children or adolescents, community work experience, speak a little bit about those types of experiences, and as well why you want to be a teacher. We also ask for 2 letters of reference. Everyone always says, well, what about a professor, someone who knows me academically? That's great. It's good to know that someone feels strongly about your academic skills and that you're doing really well in your class, but it's nice to actually get references from people that see how you've worked with kids and adolescents. So any of those experiences that you note on the supplementary form, it's a good piece to be working with. Ask a referee to support you, because we want to see that human side of that passion that you have for teaching kids. Thank you.
So at Trent, pretty much almost like York, we look for a minimum of 70% average, which is an equivalent of B average based on your last 10 full year courses. At Trent, it's 10 credits. At York, it's 60 credits. And that's how we'll calculate. So starting from the summer, and we will work our way back from there. We also, if you're planning on teaching, say, intermediate senior, will need at least 5 full year courses worth in your first teachable subjects, and then 3 full year courses in your second teachable subjects, with the exception of French. If you want to teach in French, we will need at least 4 credits for your second teachable if you're planning on doing French as a teachable. We also require a profile, and for that profile, it's weighted 50%. So your grades are going to be weighted 50%, profile 50%, and for that, we'll ask why you're interested in teaching, and list some of your experiences, and out of those experiences, expand on 3 different experiences. So when you expand on those experiences, out of those 3, pick 2 to use them as your reference letters. So try to pick from different experiences so that we're able to see you in different settings, and that will help to strengthen your application as well. And yeah, that's a brief description for our admissions.
Great. Cindy from Western?
So you need a minimum average of 70%, and ours is on your best 10. So again, we'll fall grades and winter grades won't be looked at, but if you're in your fall of your 4th year, your first 3 years will be looked at. So 70% on your best 10, full or equivalent. Usually, again, the competitiveness, it depends on the subject and the grades you're using, but usually the B to an A minus makes you competitive in the past. We look at your marks first, so you must meet the minimum academic requirements for your application to move forward. We prefer a 4-year degree, but you're welcome to apply with a 3-year. Again, we have primary, junior as the other ones, and we're looking at background credits. Do you have a half a university credit in English, math, science, social science, fine arts, health and phys ed? And again, that's a preferred status only. We do offer the primary, junior French program. We're looking for the background credits in that program, as well as 5 full courses in French with a 70% average. And if you're interested in the French immersion teaching, we'd like to see language and literature courses there. Junior intermediate is 4 full courses, 70% average. And intermediate senior is 5 full courses for your first teaching subject, 70% average. In your second teaching subject, in most cases, it's 3 full. There's a few exceptions. Religious education is 1 and French is 1, where you need 5 full courses for your second teaching subject. Minimum 70%. Summer courses are fine. Your degree can be you can complete courses in the summer. It must be conferred in the fall of 2015 if you're applying for September 2015. And then the experience profile comes into play, but we start with the academics first, and you must meet those requirements first, and then we'll go to your experience profile. This year it's going to be related to the special interest cohorts in either international education, French, urban, things like that, and you will have a choice on either first or second choice in selecting your experience on your profile to choose a cohort that you're interested in working in. And that's where your experience will help you choose, and they'll draw on that experience, bringing that into your profile. There's no set number of hours or reference letters within the profile. It's just usually a from and to date and a referee, and that's someone we can verify the experience with. The change this year for French profiles, they'll be written in French.
Great. Okay, Allison of Queens.
So for both primary junior and intermediate senior, there are some common recommendations that we ask for from applicants. And so the first one would be that we recommend that applicants have a B average. And that's just a recommendation basically to, recommend you have that so that you would be competitive, but it is still possible for you to gain admission if you don't have that. We also recommend an introductory psychology course or a developmental psychology course. And so how we assess the applications is we give you a score on the academics and then also a score on the personal statement of experience. So all applications are reviewed even if you don't have that B average. And so it's possible, depending on the program that you're applying to and how competitive it is and how many applicants we have. If you score well on the personal statement, if you have an average that's not quite at a B, that you might be eligible for admission. And then so for primary junior, we have recommended courses that we're looking for. Again, they're not required. So it's a half-year university course in English, math, science, the arts, geography, or Canadian history, and health and physical education. So having these courses would increase your academic score for admission, but again, it's not something that we necessarily require for admission. And then for intermediate senior, you have to have 2 teaching subjects. And for the first teaching subject, we're looking for 5 full-year university courses, and for the second, we're looking for 3. And then within those courses that you have to have, we do have some specific requirements for certain teaching subjects. So for example, for history, we're looking for a full-year course in Canadian history, or for example, if you're applying to chemistry, you have to have a half-year course in organic chemistry. So just make sure that you have a look at what our requirements are for the teaching subjects to make sure that you're meeting those with your courses that you're taking. In our experience profile, it's an online profile that you have to complete. There's 2 questions, and the first one is a chart that you have to complete listing up to 5 experiences. And then the second question, you have to write an essay about those experiences, talking about what you've learned from them. And then in terms of references, we don't accept letters of references, but we just ask you to provide the name of a referee who can attest to one of the experiences that you've listed in your essay.
Okay, great. And Joanne from University of Ottawa.
All right. So it'll sound like very familiar because you'll come out of here and say, okay, who said what again? So the average for U of O is 70% minimum. We offer all 3 levels. So for primary junior level, we recommend that you have courses in the 5 or 6 different subject areas that are taught at the primary level. So that would be, as Queens and everybody else said, the languages, the social sciences and humanities, the sciences, the math, and the arts. So if you have 1 course in each of those areas, 4 out of 5 anyway, you would get an extra bonus point on your total score. So the total score is comprised of your average based on your best 20 courses, undergraduate courses, so that would be half courses or 10 full courses, and your score on your experience profile, so 50-50. Aside from that, at the primary junior French, you need 6 French courses, so 1 session courses in French, and you need to pass the French test. You do need to pass that French test for all the divisions if you have chosen French as one of your teaching options. Junior intermediate, where we require 6 courses in the teaching subject, and intermediate senior, 10 in the first teaching subject and 6 in the second teaching subject. So again, like Queens, we have some specific courses that require courses in very specific areas, like history, for instance. We require 2 Canadian history courses. In visual arts, we require 2 studio courses, etc. So you can look all that up online. On the UAC application, you will not find a lot of information for U of Ottawa. We refer you to our website directly, where you will find the information for the French program and for the English teacher ed program. If you are interested in the French program, I can answer questions afterwards if you prefer. For the experience profile, it's a series of 5 questions. One of them is listing experiences, but the rest are essay type questions of between 400 and 750 words about teaching, what you're learning from your teaching experiences, what is teaching with diverse populations, what is teaching, what does collaboration mean in teaching, etc., that type of question. You have access to the statement of experience only once you have submitted your application, and it can be done online and submitted online. We ask for 2 referees, so the names of referees, we don't ask for letters of reference. We do not accept, in fact, letters of reference or CVs or any other documents aside from what we require, which are transcripts and the statement of experience profile and proof of degree, eventually.
Okay, so I think for this next question, just to give you a heads up, I think we'll reverse it to give Joanne a chance to talk first this time. And so for this question, it is, we want you to get a little bit more specific than the last question. That was a little bit more general. So reflecting on successful past applicants who were accepted into the program, what specifically was it about those applicants that set them apart from those who did not manage to get into the program? And what were some of the common problems or common pitfalls in terms of the application packages that would count against somebody? So Joanne, do you mind starting?
Sure. Okay, so in terms of applicants, we have people who have very high averages and no experience, and we have people who have very low averages and lots of experience. Those who are in the middle usually get admitted. High, mean average, mean experience, they usually get in. But the high average, low experience, well, it depends how you talk about your experience. You really have to reflect on your experience, be it teaching experience or very much related but transferable skills type experiences, and how you use it to illustrate how that will make you a good teacher and what you are learning from your experiences. So it's very important that you spend some time. For your marks, you don't have much control over that at this point. If you don't have the average, the only thing you can do is keep working at it and keep taking courses such that in the following years you can upgrade. But for this year, whatever you're taking now will not have an impact for us anyway on the calculation of your average, because we only take courses that were completed by August of this year. So what else? In terms of the statement of experience, again, many people do not respond to the questions. There are different components to the question, and you have to ensure that in your response you do address each component of the question, because there are points accorded to each component of the questions. So if we're asking you for naming 5 experiences, or if we're asking you to name 5 qualities that you have that would make you a good teacher, we expect to find 5 different qualities, not 5 synonyms of qualities. Creative. And then you have to elaborate on that and illustrate by showing through your experiences that you have these qualities. So it's very important that you spend a little bit of time understanding the question and the different components of the question, and ensuring that you are indeed responding to each one of those components. I would say that is the biggest issue on the statement of experience side.
Great. Allison from Queens?
So I would say probably very similar to what Joanne has said, that, really if your grades are, a little bit lower and you're getting towards your final year, you don't really have a lot of control over that in terms of being able to, retake courses to raise your grades. So really probably the best thing to focus on is writing that personal statement of experience very well, and having a look at the questions early and giving a lot of thought into what you want to write about, and also what types of experiences you want to include. So similar to what Joanne said, we're really looking in the essay for you to think about what you've learned from those experiences and the qualities that you have to be a future educator. So I think often people in their personal statements, they'll often just repeat what they've done without really giving much explanation about who they are, because the reader really wants to see that you have the capability to be an excellent teacher in the future. So I think just giving that a lot of thought is very important, and also I think some of the pitfalls that some of our applicants have when applying potentially are that they may not explain some of the courses that they've taken for intermediate senior preparation. So if it's not clear from the course title, that it falls under the certain subject area that you're applying to, or if it's for a specific requirement that we have within the teaching subjects. Let's say, for example, if you're applying for French and it's a French literature course, but it may not be clear from the title that you covered French literature. We do ask that you email us with that information, and it sounds simple enough, but often applicants just forget that step and it's overlooked, and then they're not eligible for admission. So I'd say that that's a very important part that some people sometimes overlook.
Great. Okay, Cindy from Western.
So again, with the grades can't be changed much now, and you must have the minimum of 70% to move forward in your application. On the experience profile that's going to be related to your cohort, we're looking for evidence of a committed interest and passion for teaching. We don't have a set number of hours, but you can see from the from and to date, if you list all your experiences, I started each of my 3 experiences in September 2014 to present. We're not seeing a committed interest in teaching there and a passion for teaching, so just include something that's got some longevity to it, some diversity. Sometimes working with children with the same age group or the same program that you're applying to. A well-written report, part of the experience can sometimes be done in point form, but when it gets to an essay, it's an essay and spelling and grammar counts. They're going to pick out all the typos or the spelling errors and your grammar. They're going to note that, so just make sure it's grammatically correct and everything. Again, with strong academic start, and then the strong profile, committed interest in teaching, important how you articulate it. And just double check your transcripts, as I said, to make sure that you're getting, it's 5 full courses. You've seen people choose, I chose biology first and science general second. I should have done it the other way because my grades didn't match properly. And I now was not qualified. And if I just flipped my teachables, I would have been fine. So just make sure you've got that all lined up. And if you need help in any of that, we're there to help you calculate your average or look at your courses and things like that. And again, course descriptions help too. If it doesn't just jump right out at you, send the course descriptions. It gives you the best evaluation.
Great. Okay, Jessica from Trent.
I'm going to say it's pretty much the same as my colleagues from other universities. However, one of my observations from reading profiles that students have submitted, someone who would be scored maybe will be given a score of 7, 8, 9, or 10, top scores. They are the ones who do not just, describe their experiences, out of the 3 experiences that you have to pick, don't just describe them. Tell us a little bit more. Someone who just describes the experiences will probably get a lower score. Someone who describes the experience and, talks about it a little bit in terms of, the students did this, I did this, and this is what they learned, might maybe get a middle score. But someone who will get a high score will reflect on it and tell us what they've learned out of it, how they grew as a person, the types of skills that they have learned over the past from their experiences, and how they're able to then apply it for their future. And they can be, a learning experience from a negative experience. Some of you might have that, and you might have learned something that you can then apply. It could be a learning experience from a really awesome experience as well. You can write that as well. So make sure you do reflect on your experiences and don't just, tell us what you did and that's it. And of course, having your documents in on time really, really matters. The deadline to get your documents in for Trent is December 5th. So you apply by the latest December 1st, but your documents have to be in by December 5th. That includes your whole application, your profile, which you can do online, but your transcripts have to be into us. Your reference letters have to be into us as well. So make sure you have all of those in, because if we have an incomplete application, we're not able to assess you for that. So make sure you have that. And for teachables, if you're teaching high school, make sure you have enough courses for that. Sometimes students might think they have enough, but they actually don't. So the best way is to contact us if you're a little unsure, and we'll help you verify that as well.
Great. Vanessa from York.
Again, same as my colleagues here. So the supplementary form, as I mentioned earlier, has several different components to it. Our committee likes to see a nice flow to it. They don't like seeing a supplementary form that's fairly choppy. And what I mean by choppy is a student may identify the different experiences that they had working with kids or adolescents or just working with people generally, and then they don't reflect on that in their personal statement. They just go directly into why they want to be a teacher. So again, committee likes to see this sort of nice balance as if they were reading an essay from the beginning to the end. We also have a component to it which is for our Access Committee. And Access is candidates who may have their journey through university or through education may not have been a direct path. There may have been things that I'm going to use, maybe sometimes hurdles, that cause you to sort of have a little bit more of a windy road through your education. And that may be one reason why you want to become a teacher. Traditionally, it's not about your grades, I'll mention that, but sometimes it's about not able to gain as much experience working with kids and adolescents as you had hoped. So some of them, for example, is maybe a candidate who's been identified with a learning disability and has been going through support through their studies. Sometimes it's a candidate who's the first to go on to university in a family. And so their journey to get to university and maybe the need of doing other things to support a family. So there's a number of questions regarding this access, and the committee likes to see students when they've said yes to one of the access questions to talk about in their personal statement. Our committee recognizes, and as I said earlier, you know, we need a B. Everyone here is sort of saying we need a B for admission consideration. But students who always have a solid grade point average, very, very strong, may not always be the best to be a teacher. You know, academically they've done great, but sometimes I personally think it's a talent and it's a skill to become a teacher. I would never be one, but many other people have that in them. So again, committee sees that, they want to see that, and they enjoy reading these files when they see a nice connection about what's led a student to consider this profession down the road. It could be family, it could be a favorite teacher, it could have been a bad experience, but I think again my colleagues would agree it's nice to see that bad turn into a positive experience in that supplementary form. The letters of reference, we do ask for 2, and they're actually online. Your referee is not sending them in by mail, they're doing it online through my file. Again, speak to the referee. Tell them that you're applying to the education program. So when they're answering the questions, they can think about you in this role as a teacher. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks. And I just thought, I heard, I believe it was Jessica from Trent mention a deadline, and I just wondered if everybody else could sort of just say when their deadlines are. I'm not sure if it's all the same day, but Vanessa?
So students have to apply by December 1st through the Ontario University Application Centre, which is the TEAS application. Speak for all of us. We may extend it depending on what we're managing with the number of applications, but currently ours is a December 1 deadline. The supplementary form that I just spoke about and the letters of references, those need to be submitted by December the 16th. Again, you're not walking into my office with an envelope in your hand. It's all done online through my file. Your transcript actually would have been ordered when you fill out the Ontario University application form. That's especially if you've done your studies within Ontario. If you've done your studies outside of Ontario, maybe you've gone on an exchange program, which would be phenomenal, through your undergraduate degree, you may need to order a transcript from that university that you attended so we can make sure that we're pulling in those courses and the grades to improve your chances of being admitted.
Okay. And Jessica, did you have any variations on what you said, or is
Nope.
it just basically December 5th for everything?
December 5th for your documents, but first to apply.
Okay. Okay, same thing. And Cindy?
December 1st on OUAC, and right now, again, December 1st for the experience profile. Again, if that's changed, it'll be posted on the website. But December 1st for everything. We understand if you apply on OUAC on November 30th, that it takes a few days for your transcripts to come. So just make sure that they get followed up by December 1st.
Great. And Allison?
So December 1st to apply, and December 8th is the deadline for all other supporting documents, including transcripts and the personal statement of experience.
Okay. And Joanne?
December 1st and December 18th for the profile. The transcripts have to be in by December 1st.
For this coming year, we're not looking at students who are identifying certain teachable. So I think we all know that there's an interest in students with French and the sciences and the maths, and our faculty, our program right now isn't saying we're going to admit so many into the math, so many into the science, so many into French, but having a science background or having a French background may improve your chances down the road for a job opportunity. Because those seem to be areas that are lacking. But no, there's no which degree is better than another. No.
Likewise at Trent, we evaluate both Bachelor of Arts and Sciences equally.
Yep. No, it doesn't make a difference for them.
Same at Queens, doesn't matter.
For Ottawa, either, provided you have the number of courses for your teaching subjects.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
I'm just wondering for the teachables, some of them require honors in the degree title. So when they say honors, does it mean a specific number of credits, or it has to be on the degree?
Okay, so basically what is meant by honors?
I can start. So an honors degree is a 4-year program. It's 120 credits. It is a requirement if you're applying for intermediate senior to be a high school teacher. You do need to have an honors degree. If you're applying for primary, junior, or junior intermediate, you can apply with a general degree, a 3-year degree. Another word for honors could be, being here at York, it means an overall GPA of higher than like a C+. B average, sometimes that's another definition of what honors is.
So for Trent, usually for if you're planning on going into intermediate senior, it's recommended for you to have a 4-year degree as well, which is known as your Honors Bachelor of Arts or Honors Bachelor of Science. But in terms of whether, for primary junior, whether you have just a general honors, it doesn't make a difference. We look at your experience plus your average. Mm-hmm.
No, it's 4-year degree or 20 credits. So again, the honors is usually the 4-year degree, but we will count credits and whichever is more beneficial to you. Some of the teaching subjects, math, for example, does require a senior math course. So that we'd be looking for something above second year or above. But other than
So at Queens, we don't require a 4-year degree. We recommend that applicants have either 120 courses or a 4-year degree. And we do give bonus points towards the academic score if you have a 4-year degree, either complete or in progress. And the main reason why we recommend 120 credits or the 4-year is just because of the extra content background, but also it can make a difference in your salary classification after when you get a position teaching. So it's to your advantage to have that. But in terms of either intermediate senior or primary junior, it doesn't really make a lot of difference in terms of your preparation for like those teaching subjects for intermediate senior if you have an honors or not.
Same for Ottawa, we don't give any preference to a 4-year degree over a 3-year degree. However, if you do have a 4-year degree, your chances of having a better average are much higher. And again, the pay scale and many other opportunities for professional development once you are a qualified teacher open up for you if you do have a 4-year degree.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
With the change of the 2-year program, starts next year, I believe. How long will you be in a placement, and how long will you be in a classroom doing this? In actually like learning experience versus.
I can start again. Good question. So with the new 2-year BED program, we are extending our practicum experience. Just to go back, we've always required a minimum of 80 days in we'll call it the old Bachelor of Education program. So we will continue that, and we're going to add a little bit more to it. To start with York University's practicum experience in your first year, so September 2015 through to 2017, semester 1 and semester 2, you'll be actually in 2 practicums. The first practicum, and this is where we really sort of feel is important in our education program, is you will be actually in a community setting. So versus just in a school, You will be part of maybe something like the Royal Ontario Museum. You might be part of the early childhood or early years center. It could be a community center. And the idea is that one day out of the week, you will be in that setting, understanding about education within the community itself. The second day, you will be at a school now. And that school will be somewhere within that community, because we want you to get to know again, not just walking into a classroom and that's the only place that children learn. Students and children now learn at the age of basically being born through all these other great opportunities that are run either municipality, volunteer, provincially. So again, that community setting is perfect. So twice a week you'll be in a practicum placement in your first year. And then the following year, year 2, you will again be in a practicum placement. You will be there also once a week. I'm trying to remember how it looks. Once a week, but now there will be blocks. So in your first semester of your second year, you'll be 4 weeks of a block. And then in the last semester of your last year, it'll be a 6-week block. Our plan is that you will be on the campus at the Kiel campus twice a week. 2 days to 1 day in a practicum, and 1 day you will have free. And that 1 day free may be an online course, so you'll be taught at home, or it may be a day for you to get ready, your lesson planning for your practicum placement.
Okay, so at Trent, if you grab one of our books, we have it outlined nicely here where you have your classes, you have your placements, practicum breaks, even breaks are included in here. In terms of your placement, so classes will start end of August, and you pretty much complete your year mid-April, and then you start again end of August and complete your year mid-April as well. In your first year in September, you will start to do your literacy placement, and you're going to spend 2 mornings each week for 11 weeks to do that placement. Basically, you're going to be tutoring 2 kids, so it's going to be a 2-on-1 tutoring session, and then you'll do your practicum, your first practicum in November. And over the 2 years, you will gain 92 days of practicum being out in the classrooms. And practicums are done around the Peterborough area with our partner district school boards. Between year 1 and year 2, over the summer, we encourage you to do your alternate placements. And that is where you're going to be spending 3 weeks doing your alternate placements. And since it's the summer, some students would do it at summer camps to do, say, teaching, but teaching about environmental programs, for example, or teaching with special needs. So there are all these different opportunities that you can achieve during the summer for the alternate placements as well. So make sure you grab one of this because it outlines everything.
We're looking at about 100+ days of practicum. So in your first year, year 1, you'll do about 7 or 8 weeks in the faculty, starting in September. You'll do 4 weeks of field study in the fall, which is just going to be within a school community and just putting the theory and the practice in, then how does it all work and what does the school community look like and everything like that. Then there'll be a 5-week practicum in the winter term, which will be evaluated. In year 2, you're going to do a lot more first 2 weeks of September potentially in the school doing field study, 5 weeks of practicum in the fall, and an alternative placement or project that time. And then in the winter, you're going to do another 6 weeks of practicum and another 4 weeks of an alternative placement or project. Some of our alternative experiences now are service learning component, internationally, things like that. So it's just going to work out to about over 100 days.
So in our extended program, we have a total of 19 weeks of placement. 16 weeks of that are done in a school. So in the first summer, you'll start with 3 weeks, all done at once in one school, and it will likely be in the Kingston area where everybody will be doing that first practicum placement, and it will be mainly observational in nature. Then in the fall term, you'll be doing a 6-week practicum placement in October and November. And so for our practicum placements from the fall term onwards, we use an associate school model. So we have agreements with specific school boards ranging to the Quebec border, to the Ottawa area, and then to Toronto, and even some in Waterloo. So the idea is you'll come to the Faculty of Education for a certain number of weeks, and then you'll go out on practicum for a number of weeks as well. Then in the fall term, there's 4 weeks done in the same school, and then a 3-week alternative practicum. And then in the second summer, you'll be doing another 3 weeks in the same associate school. So in the fall, winter, and second summer, it's always done in the same school. For primary junior, you'll be typically in 2 different age ranges or 2 different grades. And then with intermediate senior, we place you typically in both of your teaching subjects that you have.
Okay. So we have about 110 days of practica divided into the first semester where you do a community service learning within the school system, but it's a volunteer and it's observation, working with children but not necessarily in the classroom. It could be with additional work going on outside the classroom. So 1 day a week doing that, plus a 2-week period at the end of that semester, the first semester. In the second semester, 8 out of the 15 weeks of the program will be in a school. The fall of the second year, another 8 weeks of practica at the end, and in the winter, it will be another community service learning. So that's an alternative placement that can be in the school system or outside the school system. It can be in a different division than the one you're training for, or in different teaching subjects than the one you are training for, or it can be outside the country or in another province if you wish. So many options there as well.
Okay. So there's, I think, a really important question that hasn't been asked yet, so I'm going to ask it. I'm interested in how many, it sounds like almost all programs are actually including alternative placements now. And I think that is likely in recognition of the difficult teaching market. So I wanted to ask just a little bit about that. So first question, what percentage of graduates from your program are successfully transitioning into the teaching field? And then also, what kinds of alternative employment are some of your graduates finding? And even if it's just anecdotal, if you don't have the exact stats, that's wonderful. But I just think that, probably most people are aware that it is a difficult market out there. And so I'm wondering if you could address that. So whoever wants to start. You don't always have to go in a row. It can be anybody. Okay.
Okay, so yes, the market is a difficult market right now, but students are going all over the place to get their teaching jobs. We have people who are practicum coordinators who are graduates of our program. They place students in schools, in fact. We have people who go outside the country, in the United Kingdom, in the Commonwealth countries. Many students go and teach in other countries, in Britain and Australia and New Zealand, etc. Teaching English as a second language in Korea and Japan and China, all over the world. We have quite a few students going to other provinces, Alberta being one of the provinces that are hiring a lot of people now. People move to other provinces as well. And there are people finding jobs in teaching, believe it or not. French is in particular demand and has been for the longest time. They tend to find jobs fairly quickly, right after they graduate and even before they graduate. Other areas, well, I think it depends on your ability to do a lot of networking while you are in school. So you will have more opportunities to do networking with the amount of time you will be spending in school, outside the school system, but also in teaching environments. You'll have all kinds of opportunities, I think, to do some networking. As well, because you will be highly prepared with a 2-year program, you will be interesting to many types of employers, not only the education field. Human resources often hire people who have education degrees because they do a lot of training and they need people to teach these training courses, and so they often hire B.Ed students. You may want to go on to do a master's in education eventually, and so that's another opportunity that you will have. I'll leave it at that because it'll take a while for everybody to get through.
Similar to what Joanna said, we don't have statistics specifically. It's very difficult for us to get accurate feedback from our graduates on where they're finding employment and where they're being placed. But generally, I would say many of our graduates are finding employment internationally. At Queen's, we have some very strong international connections because we have a teaching overseas recruiting fair every year. And that's mainly for people who are already teachers to find jobs internationally, but we do hold a certain number of spaces for people that are currently in the BEd program. And so that's where we're finding right now many of our graduates end up going. Also because we have the alternative practicum in the program, and many of our students do an international placement for that. That gives them some connections when they're in the program to find jobs afterwards. But definitely being mobile and being able to go into some of the more remote areas or across the country or into other countries definitely will help with the ability to be employed initially. But in terms of support, the Faculty of Education has career advisors that help with resume and cover letter writing. They do interview skills workshops, also talk about related careers as well. So we give some preparation to teacher candidates when they're in the program in terms of how to get ready for looking for a teaching job or for any kind of job for that matter after they get their Bachelor of Education.
Quite a few do go internationally. There's a lot of the English language or Canadian schools that are looking for English language teachers. They're in China, they're in Sweden, the UK. A lot of interest there. They're also doing corporate training. They're doing academic advising. They're doing all kinds of different areas because the Bachelor of Education does prepare them to do a lot of those different things. French is still popular. There's an interest in the French students. As Joanne says, they sometimes get hired before they're done, at least to supply list. The independent schools are going all over the place and all over the world. We do some career expos right now in January when there's a lot of international recruiters in for that. We have a blog which we post all the job postings on, things like that.
Thank you. So just to give the warning, we have 5 minutes left, so
Okay.
just
I'll
a
keep it
couple
quick.
of minutes. Yeah,
Mhm.
wonderful for this question.
Yeah, so at Trent, we don't keep any stats on how many students actually get into the teaching positions, but many of us students who have built really good relationships through their placements end up usually getting a job with those schools. And we also have Trent grads who got hired straight away to work up in, say, Northern Ontario or out of provinces like some colleagues have mentioned. Some Trent grads have also worked in Canadian high schools abroad. For example, I know of a grad who's working at Sunway International School. It's a school that hires OCT teachers, so teachers who are registered with OCT, because it's a Canadian school. So he's been working there for the past few years straight from Trent, went there, and he's loving his experience there. So you could also teach abroad if you're interested. Some other alternate placements could include, or places that grads would work could be, say they work as an education consultant for incoming students, especially for new immigrants or international students looking into studying or completing their high school in Canada. Some people have worked, in camps. Some people have worked as counselors in private schools. So lots of different areas that you can work as well for alternate places.
I don't know if I can say much more. I think everyone's
Yeah.
basically, given me my answer as well. I think mine, I can give sort of an experience. My prior position to here in education was the Office of Admissions here at York University, and I was a recruitment officer for 8 years. And I got the lucky job of traveling around Europe and other places to recruit international students to York. And so I was visiting predominantly American high schools, Canadian high schools, British curriculum, Indian schools as well. And I was surprised at how many of the teachers are Canadian. So you can see, I didn't know, but how well a Canadian degree is received overseas. So if you do have the interest to travel, there is certainly opportunities for you there. I think even London, England right now seems to be on a big hiring of teachers. Again, we don't have our statistics, but we do hear from students because they always come back to say hi. You know, when you have an advising office that's been working with you for years, you've gotten to know them. We hear about the experience, like my colleague said here, their practicum experience in the schools that they've been in, doing their hours and making a connection there. And then sometimes somebody's going on a parental leave or a maternity leave, and now they've got their credentials to be a teacher. They may be called in that way. So make a good connection to the school that you'll be with. You'll be with maybe several schools, but that's a great way for them to get to know you. Principals have a lot, ability to think about you and perhaps hiring you maybe just in a temporary role.